Tonight we are working on a little project for a buddy of mine. It's a Commodore 1084 monitor. I believe it's the -P variant. I'm not sure about that, but on the back we got Commodore made in Taiwan, November 1987, model 1084. They didn't put any of the model variants in the name, other than I think for the S. The 1084S has it written on the front, but all the other ones are kind of unofficially named different variants, and I believe this is the P variant. But the reason we're interested in it is actually because this monitor was produced for both the European and North American market in the same production line, and I believe they used the same board and everything for both the American and the European variant. But what they did was, for the North American version, they used this 8-pin special connector for both digital and analog RGB. And so you need a special Commodore cable to adapt your RGB signals into this monitor. However, me and my buddy noticed that they still left this hole for us, that's shaped exactly like a SCART plug on the back, and it's unlabeled, but it's still, cut out of the plastic. So that got me wondering, well, did they leave the header for SCART on the board? And more so, if they did leave the header on there, is it just like a plug and play process to get a SCART plug on there? So we kind of embarked on this project, and I ordered a right angle SCART connector from Hong Kong. Took like 3 weeks to get here, and I've taken apart the monitor already, which unfortunately I didn't get on camera. But if you look back here, you can see the 21-pin header for SCART is here. And if you look at the bottom of the board, which I've already desoldered several ground points so that I could actually get behind this ridiculous metal ground plane that they've put on it, you can see that the traces are wired and everything. So it should be an operational SCART port. And there may need to be some additional work done somewhere down on the board to get it to actually use this port. It may be cut off, with some component that needs to be removed somewhere down the line. But I've already gone to the trouble of removing all the solder from these holes so that we can actually get the header put in there. And then I thought to myself, hey, I should probably fire up the camera and actually document this process. So here you are with me doing this for the first time. See if it fits in there, or if I need to remove more solder. I see it coming through on the right, but not on the left. So let's take a look at the board here, and let's see what holes is it probably getting caught on. They all look open. I don't believe I missed any, although this one kind of looks, oh, that one looked open, but it's not. Right there. So let's get the solder gun. I got my Hacko FR 301 here. This is a dream for anyone that works on electronics. Forget using soldering wick unless you're doing unless you're soldering the pins on an IC or something. You still need wick because this tip is way too big for that. But for anything else, man, this thing will take solder off of anything you throw at it. It's remarkable, and it's worth every penny I paid for it and more. So let me get the camera pointed at where I'm working, and let's I think that did it. Let's see there. Yep, I can see through the hole. I believe I can see through all the holes now, so let's turn that off. And let's try this again. Come on, what's the hold up here? All of the pins, it's like rocking in all the pinholes, but it doesn't want to push through. Oh, I got it to clip in on the right. What's the hold up here? Oh boy. Some of the traces are very fragile here. Oh, these damn. Alright, I think I'm gonna have to actually heat this up. And I don't have a good way to capture that angle, but I'll go ahead and leave the camera rolling while I do it anyway here. Okay. Let me get my... I'm just gonna use this because I can float it over the pins while I push it through. I think that would be the easiest way to handle this. Okay, there we go. Sorry for the cut, but I ended up knocking the camera off the desk trying to get this in there. So it turns out I needed to just start on the left side and then go in on the right second, and that got us in there. Okay, so I got the soldering iron heated up. Let's get going here. Let me put some, I don't think it's gonna need flux, but I'm gonna put some on anyway. Never hurts. I'm gonna put on some no clean flux. Just a little bit. I don't have one of those spray, those little needle bottles yet. I need to get one. All right. I'm at a pretty awkward angle here trying to work around the camera, so excuse anything weird that you see me do as a result. Uh-oh, we got some missing traces. Missing pads, rather. Oh, that's gonna be fun. Let's figure out if they're pads that we even care about. I don't think they are. I think they're grounded out. Haha. We'll see. I'll check them against the SCART pin out here in a minute once I get these other pads soldered. Can you even see what I'm doing on this camera? Wow, that's like really, it's really blurry. Hold on, let me see if I can improve that. It's just like a really awkward angle because of the way that I've got this monitor positioned to even be working on the bottom of it. That's part of the problem here. I don't think it's going to get any better. I apologize for that, but hopefully you can kind of see what's happening. I'll show you a close-up of the solder afterwards, the soldering. Or I suppose it... I suppose it would be soldering if you pronounce it correctly, but I'm a filthy American who says everything wrong. Got another broken trace here. Broken pad. I keep saying trace, it's a pad, missing pad. Yep, definitely no pad there. All right, so let's take a look at what we're missing here. Okay, so apparently I ran out of space on my SD card and my phone didn't decide to tell me that until after I freaking left the camera app. So I don't even know what the last thing it recorded is. So I'm just gonna update you on where we're at. I've soldered in all of the pins for SCART. As you can see, some of the pins are not soldered in, and the reason for this is because the pads for them fell off because they were so old. They just fell out when a pin came through, and that's my bad for not heating each of the pads as I put the pins through. But when you have 21 freaking pins, it's pretty much impossible to make sure that they're all heated simultaneously. That's basically impossible. So I did the best I can. Luckily, looking at the pinout for SCART, I don't even need to care that these pins lost their pads because none of them are important at all for what we're doing. Most of them are just grounded out, honestly. So we're going to continue. I doubt that this is going to work right out of the box, but I'm going to try it anyway. First, I'm going to go ahead and connect this ground plane back on one corner just because I noticed that it is sharing a common ground with some other components on the board, and so I do think that it's important for this to have some kind of connection at least. So I'm going to solder that corner right now. I'm going to go ahead and pause the recording. Alright, so that ground plane corner is soldered back in, so let's go ahead and turn this thing right side up and turn it on, and then plug in a SCART source and see what happens. Okay, so I've got my trusty SCART source plugged in. It's my RGB Pi in an Argon 140 case. Plugged into the SCART input right there. Let me go ahead and flip on my power supply down here, and we will set the camera right here just to see. And as I said before, it's probably going to be like a really uneventful thing here. I doubt anything's going to happen, but let's go ahead and turn it on. Oh, come on. Am I forgetting something here? I think I plugged in the wrong TV down here. Yes, I did. I got all kinds of 3-prong cables just hanging out down here. Okay. There we go. And we will turn on the RGB Pi. Oh. What is that? Whoa. Oh, shit. I know what's happening. Oops, hold on. I have the wrong OS loaded on my SD card that I put in there. I have, I don't know if this is how you pronounce it, but I have Lakka or Lakka OS, L-A-K-K-A. Jesus, I probably butchered that, but it's the OS that I use for doing VGA output from a Raspberry Pi. So I have to switch to the OS that handles 15 kilohertz SCART output. Okay, so I've got that plugged in. Let's go ahead and turn the CRT back on and try this again. Okay, turning on the Pi. Okay, it's booting. Oh shit. It worked immediately? Are you kidding me? You got to be kidding. I didn't even switch inputs or anything and it's just already ready to go. Alright, hold on, let's let it finish. Oh man, this looks fantastic. Obviously there's no audio because you need a breakout cable, but I could actually patch in the audio over SCART. I could do that. Wow, I am amazed. Okay, so it looks like composite still works because when I flip the input switch, it takes away the input. And then on the back, look at the case. So there's a, okay, that's a switch for CD. Yeah, so, wow. How lucky is that? I don't even have the speaker plugged in actually, so if there was sound, I wouldn't even know. I don't want to plug that in right now because it's actually really difficult to plug in without just putting the thing back together. But I can't believe that this just worked out of the box. Literally all I did was add a SCART port. Oh my god. Shit. Well, let's check out the geometry and everything while we're in here. Actually, before I do that, let me configure the screen centering. It looks like the V height is like super high. Not that it's a bad thing. I'd rather have overscan than underscan. I'm weird that way, but I like to have as much picture as possible if I'm given the choice. Or as much screen real estate used as possible, I should say. Let me turn the light off and see if that gives us a better image on the camera. Let's see here. Let me change the camera settings. Okay, so I've adjusted the camera settings for lighting. And let's go to test patterns and let's check convergence. Ooh, that looks good. That looks really good. That's totally acceptable. Blue is a little bit low, but I mean, it's negligible. Colors are adjusted pretty damn well. Brightness looks good as well. Wow. The grid pattern really isn't all that. I mean, it's not as bad as I thought it was, the V height. It's just the screen's got a lot of curvature. Linearity looks good. Wow. It looks like the yoke may not be completely straight, but it's pretty close. I mean, let me go back to the grid. Yeah, whoops. You can see that this dot up here is closer to the bezel than its matching dot in the other corner, but I mean, we're talking about literally a 1/16 of an inch. It's not bad. This game doesn't run at 60 hertz, so you're going to see a little bit of a scan line effect, but man, this looks really good. Like, incredibly good. So I think the next thing to do would be to try and get that audio patched through. because I highly doubt that the audio is wired up. But first I'll test by hooking the internal speaker back up, and we'll see if I'm wrong. We'll see if the audio works as is. Alright, stop screwing around. So before I test the audio, you know, like I said, I need to put the case on, so I realized that I need to actually open up this SCART port. So let me try to prop the camera here. Okay. Today we work at the Commodore factory in Taiwan, and we're popping out I/O ports on the production line. Come on. I love how this plastic is always so brittle and old, except when it comes down to when you actually want it to break, and then it's like, you know, suddenly has new life. Okay, so we've got the case back on with the speaker connected. Let's see if we're lucky. Oh, let me turn on my power supply. Okay. And boot up the Pi. And the volume meter is on the front here. Okay, so it's all booted up. I'm going to turn up the volume knob, see what happens. Damn it. Nothing. I hooked up my Wii just to make sure that the composite input still works. Which it does. S-video and composite still work. And looks like my Wii doesn't want to boot up. That's great. That's convenient. Let's see. Oh, well, that's all I needed to hear. Is the speaker is working. So okay, let's open it up and let's double check that our audio is wired up, and then we'll see if they actually included any wiring to have SCART audio work. SCART audio obviously isn't like a standard, like not all SCART equipment supports SCART audio, and not everyone cares to have their audio carried over SCART, but when you have like an all-in-one package with your CRT and it already supports having, you know, a SCART input, you might as well make audio work if possible. So let's open this thing up and try to wire up that audio. Alright, so I've got this thing open back up. I took a quick look at the schematics, and the audio is not connected at all. So, and that makes sense to me because, you know, this is supposed to be a substitute for the RGB imports, and those don't carry audio either. So they just expected you to use this audio port. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to run a wire from the audio in to that. Alright, so there is the wire crossing over from the audio mono input to the mono input of the monitor. So let's button this thing back up and test it out. Alright, it's all back together, and I was confident enough that I didn't even test it before I put all the screws back in. So let's see if I play the fool today or not for doing that. That's really weird. Okay. soldered the wrong pin or something. Like, that's really weird. Okay, so I figured out my audio mistake, and it was literally just I counted pins from the wrong side of the SCART port. So the audio pins are over here. The rows start on the right, not on the left, because I'm looking at it from the bottom. So the audio pin is actually this one, not this one. I believe this is the blanking signal, which is why I was just getting noise. So I actually am going to need to make a new wire because this one's too short. So let me go ahead and rewire this. And there is the new audio wire. Had a second chance to wire it, so I got a better wire length this time too. It's nicely tucked in there and ready to go, so let's try again. Okay, so the moment of truth. It's all put back together. We fixed the wiring on the RGB, on the SCART connector for the audio, and we're gonna pray that we don't have to open it up a third time. Oh, I hear music. Sweet. Let me straighten up the camera here. Okay. Turn it down a little bit. My son's sleeping. What should we play? I don't know what frame rate this runs at. I can't match it with my camera. Yeah, so we definitely still need to pull in the geometry a little bit on this, because you can see my score and everything is a little cut off on the top. It's just a little too close. But the SCART is a resounding success. I love this game. Alright, so obviously I'm going to fix the geometry on this monitor, but that won't be part of this video, so that's all for now, guys. Thanks for hanging out with me for this repair, and I'll see you next time.